Hey there, all you beautiful Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Let's go. Have you abandoned your family yet? Have you ditched them because they didn't vote the way you wanted to? No, of course you haven't. Could you even imagine it? Well, that's one of the things we're going to talk about on the show today. We're going to sort of continue the fallout and just see what's going on. There just seems to be some, I don't know, I just don't remember previous elections being this contentious. I don't know. Did I forget that people were abandoning their family in 2016 when this guy got elected the first time? Were people abandoning their family when George W. Bush got elected? Did you abandon your family ever, or did your kids abandon you based on the vote? Because I'm seeing a lot of this online. I just can't imagine it happening in real life. I can't imagine, okay, maybe for like a couple days or so after the election when you're still butthurt. But I mean, you're really going to skip Thanksgiving? You're really going to skip Christmas? That doesn't sound right. People really do that? I know there's going to be the fringe of like 1 or 2% of people who really are that extreme. But do you think this is really happening en masse? 800-288-9227. Another thing I don't understand is this extreme aversion in enforcing our immigration laws. This is something I don't know if these people really mean this, or they just think it sounds good on TV, or they think it wins them votes, or maybe they're just doing it for ratings on their shows. But I don't understand hardly any of the arguments against it, because of all the communities that it could help, the legal immigrant community also stands to benefit from deportation efforts of people who didn't follow the proper procedures, who didn't get the proper paperwork and go and wait in line and do all the correct process. And who knows better than that than my first guest, Renata Castro's back on. She runs a full service immigration firm, USA for All. From the point of view of the legal immigrants in our community, Renata, I know you're not like officially their spokesman, but what do they think of the deportation talk?
I think it really depends how far down the line of the immigration experience that individual is. And the reason why I say this, James, is because I would say that out of 10 legal immigrants in the United States, 8 have been in a position where they were either without status, which some call illegal, or they were in violation of status. So I can understand why to someone who was born in the United States and who has not been exposed to the complexities of immigration law, being shocked at the lack of willingness to enforce immigration law may seem like unreasonable. However, there is a lot more to immigration law than black and white enforcement. And for the record, I'm not advocating in favor of illegal immigration. I don't think anyone is. I am in favor of a more reasonable, effective immigration legal system, and also punishment, which is something I haven't heard, James, punishment for the millions of Americans who take advantage of the labor of these individuals who are without status, and they never suffer any consequence. That's a discussion we haven't had, we haven't heard, and we're only demonizing individuals who are in the country without status, who may have fallen out of status, but under the law, you violated the law, you're in violation. Ignorance is not a defense on the law, but I think we need to have a conversation that's a lot more complex than just let's deport 21 million undocumented aliens because we're so tough, and let's not look at the people who either helped or benefited from the violation of these laws. It seems that that's a partial position for the government to take, and I don't think of the United States legal system as a partial one. I would rather think that we're still a country of laws and of impartiality.
Right. And that's one of the sort of capitalist arguments against this is, and I don't mean against deportation, I mean against widespread illegal immigration, is, when you talk about people who benefit from this, if you're a guy who owns a meatpacking plant, if you're one of the evil millionaires and billionaires and corporate robber barons who owns giant corporations that run on minimum skilled labor, then you like illegal immigration. You don't mind if Americans, of whatever race, legal immigrants included, get displaced in these jobs for these guys who take lower wages and less oversight?
I think that a lot of people share your sentiment that only, millionaires and big corporations are taking advantage of unskilled labor. But that's far from the truth.
No, that was not my position. That was not my position at all. I've just said, because we wonder, like, who is in favor of this? Like, why do the Republicans and Democrats both seem to be on board with this? And a good answer to that is, well, who are the donors, the big moneyed interests? Do they have a benefit from illegal immigration being unfettered? And the answer for that is, if you're a corporation that requires a lot of labor, yeah, you definitely have an incentive to keep that going.
James, I've been very grateful that from the beginning you have allowed me to present arguments on both sides of the spectrum when it comes to immigration, which is such a heated topic. If you want to know who really benefits from immigration enforcement in this country, they're the private jail operators. When you look at what the stock for both Civitas and Geo Group has done in the past few days, their stock went up 40% with the expectation of going even higher because individuals who are detained for immigration violation are overwhelmingly individuals without a criminal record, people who are healthy and of working age. That's like the lowest risk for someone who's running and operating a jail. There are more undocumented immigrants within our community contributing, even hiring American citizens than we know of. I think it's about time that, yes, we talk about enforcement, but that we also talk about how we need immigrant labor, not only because people are taking advantage of undocumented immigrants. I have come to learn that it is not a matter of paying less wage. It's a matter of some American generations, and when I say American, even children of immigrants, people who were born in the United States, are just unwilling to do certain jobs no matter how much they get paid. If you try to hire someone in a trade industry, a landscaper, a service provider, first of all, it's almost impossible to find reliable labor. And second of all, there's a lack of interest in engaging in these less sexy industries, if you will. Nowadays, young people want to be TikTokers and influencers, and an economy is not made of just that. So although I think it's great that people are making money online, we need a diverse economy. So why not have a legal, structured, organized system where American employers can hire people in a timely and legal manner, and we don't have to be going through this every election cycle discussing the evils of undocumented aliens in the United States without really attacking the root cause of it all. If individuals did not find a way to work in the United States, they wouldn't be here to begin with. So why not attack that from an enforcement standpoint and also from an immigration reform aspect, giving American employers the opportunity and the legal pathway to hire guest workers once and for all.
All right, this is immigration attorney Renata Castro from USA for All. You can find her online, USA, the number 4, all.com. Thank you very much again, Renata.
Thank you, James.
All right, coming up next on The James Show, I'm going to have to rebut about the last minute and a half of that, but it's in a friendly way. And it's not that I'm thinking she's wrong. I just have some little tweaks on there. Sure, we need immigrant labor. Why can't it be legal immigrants? Why can't it be we still do the mass deportation and all these people that are in that 13-year waiting line? And for everyone we kick out, one of them scoots up. Would they be okay with that? Anyway, we'll go a little deeper into this. What's your solution? What do you think about mass deportation? 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. It's The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. All right, welcome back to The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Boy, that I don't ever want to be rude to a guest, and I don't want to interrupt them, and I don't want to have like combat radio, but it's really hard to be quiet when someone brings up one of these just logical fallacies that gets blown out of the water on The James Show quite often, but I still have to sit through it. And that's this idea that there's just jobs that Americans won't do. And I find that, well, it's specious in the fact that, well, it sounds like it could be true. But if you just go dig for a minute or just listen to the next 6 minutes of The James Show, you'll see why that's a silly thing to say, and it's got a tinge of racism to it, or at least some sort of supremacy there. But I was going to talk about this anyway. Maria Cardona was on MSNBC, and they brought in some guy from the right side named Giancarlo Sopo. I don't know who he is actually, but he worked for the RNC, and he was explaining how Latino voters could swing so heavily toward Trump. It's 45% of them voted for Trump. And she was saying that makes no sense in the face of the mass deportation. They're voting against their own interest. No, you're not voting against your own interest if you're here legally, right? I mean, we all understand that. This is just the illegals. But here's Maria Cardona's just histrionic response.
Giancarlo, come on. You know better. You know so much better than what you are spouting right now. Our community is going to go through pain. Our community is going to go through cruelty. That is not what anyone voted for. And in fact, I will tell the American electorate, if the incoming Trump administration goes through this, here's the people that they're going to go after. They're going to go after your kids' classmates. They're going to go after your delivery guy. They're going to go after the people who take care of your kids. They're going to go after the people who work in restaurants. They're going to go after the business owners in your community. They're going to go after the people who work and who own the farmers markets that you love going to on weekends. This is going to be a snapshot of incredible pain and cruelty.
All right, so there's no pain or cruelty in enforcing the law any more so than if your dad robbed a bank. It is going to be painful and feel cruel to your family that you're going to spend Christmas without your dad, but we're just enforcing the law. You shouldn't have robbed the bank. So these laws, I don't feel like they deserve any sort of special treatment. Treat them like any other law. Just enforce them. And if families get broken up, well, that's what happens when you break laws. And for the rest of it, when they say, well, the people that are going to be gone are some of your kids' classmates or some business owners or people that cut your lawn or stuff, it's not only do I not think that's a bad thing, that's good. That's the point. I don't do what? Because they have a job, they're immune to having the laws enforced against them? Hell yeah, I'm okay with that. I feel like I'm missing something. I feel like when they make that argument, they feel like they're slam dunking the basketball, but it feels like a straw man. It's like, no, that doesn't bother me at all. Well, the guy that cut your lawn's going to be gone. It's like, why do y'all go there? Don't you love how the media also just shrugged off the drastic over-enforcement of laws when it came to J6ers, people who just loitered through the Capitol, without touching anything? They were tracked down all over the country. It was sort of a mass deportation effort. They managed to find all those people using facial recognition and cell phone data. They were sending teams out to Florida and Texas and all these other states to go round up all these people for what they did on January 6th. We can do something similar for illegals here. So we do have precedent for large roundups like this for people who weren't really doing anything bad. But yeah, some of them were your gardener on January 6th. Some of them were your construction worker or whatever these other jobs you say Americans won't do. You weren't bothered by that? Oh, no, it's cruel and painful to what? Enforce the laws on the January 6ers? Was there an argument there? Oh, I didn't hear that. I must have missed that episode of MSNBC. I'll go back and check the archives. But there's no such thing as a job Americans won't do. And that's a terrible thing to say because it betrays a deep ignorance of economics, number one. And number two, it mixes in some good old-fashioned democratic racism in there. Because I would go be a roofer tomorrow. Garrett would quit the James Show and go be a roofer tomorrow if it paid $1 million a year. You probably would too. I'd quit my job right now. I'd be roofing the hell out of some houses around here. Okay, so let's talk about that. It doesn't pay $1 million a year, so that's fantasy. All right, what if it paid $500,000 a year? What if it paid the same as you make now? What if it paid minimum wage? And you find out really quick that there's no such thing as a job Americans won't do. There's just a job Americans won't do for a too low of a price. There is a price floor on that labor, and illegals can undercut it. Another crazy part about that argument, it feels racist. Like, Americans are above menial jobs like that. We need to bring in Mexicans to do it. What the heck? Why are y'all talking about Mexicans like they're some sort of like overseas labor pool? Like, I don't know. What's the deal? This is the second time they've done this. Democrats just go overseas, pick some people of color, bring them in here to be their workforce. Didn't work out good the first time, did it? Slavery. That's what I was talking about there. But it also kind of acts like white and black Americans. They're just too prissy to be a roofer. Ugh, we couldn't handle it. We're not tough enough. We're too big of babies. We're too soft. All right. Who do you think cuts the grass in Maine? Who do you think cuts the grass in Wyoming or West Virginia, where less than 2% of the population is Hispanic? I got to live up in Northwest Oklahoma for just 1 year. It is almost all white people. In fact, it was very boring and it kind of freaked me out. I was like, what y'all doing with all the black people? And they're like, there's not any. Well, there's two. I met one of them. His name was Charles. I saw another guy at a grocery store one time. That was it. But you know what happens? Up in the middle of nowhere, northwest Oklahoma, in a little town called Woodward, the person who cuts your grass, they're white. The person who gives you your food at the drive-thru, they're white. When you go to a restaurant, everyone in the kitchen, you're not going to believe this. White people actually do those jobs. They're not above them. Neither are black Americans. There's nothing special about people based on the color of their skin that makes them better or worse than others. That's literally the definition of racism. Stop it. It's gross. And it's economically illiterate. And it's wrong. So yeah, there's no such thing as jobs Americans won't do. Mass deportations, go ahead. If they broke the law, get out of here. Mark Cuban said, you're going to take a 30... grandma who's been here for 30 years and sitting her back? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah. That's the rule. That's the law. You rob a bank 30 years ago, you still get to keep the money? 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, we're going to talk to Lance Johnson. He was on the long list for Secretary of Education. The list got a little shorter and he's not on it anymore, but we'll talk to him about some of the changes proposed by Donald Trump to college accreditation and other educational issues. This is The James Show. I'm James Parker. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.